Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to our Bissela Yiddish Shabbat service. A bissel means a little, and that's all you're going to get, just a little. But as what? A bissel is genug? Genug. Well, I hope I'm saying my Yiddish correct tonight. I hope I don't offend anybody. I did the best that I could. Anyways, we're going to begin with Shabbos Yidden soll sein. And you can find the words to that actually on page 335. And while you're all searching for that, your books are underneath you, I'm going to go ahead and let you know what I'm going to be singing. Shabbat, Jews should celebrate. There should be Shabbos throughout the world. Holidays, Jews should celebrate. There should be holidays throughout the world. Peace, Jews should have. There should be peace throughout the world. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Shabbos, 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 soll sein jeden Shabbos. Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos auf der ganzen Welt. Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos auf der ganzen Welt. Ja la 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 ja la 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 ja la 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 la. Yontif, 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 soll sein jeden Yontif. Yontif soll sein, Yontif soll sein, Yontif soll der ganzen Welt. Yontif soll sein, Yontif soll sein, Yontif auf der ganzen Welt. Ja la 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 ja la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Shoilem, 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 Shoilem soll sein jede Shoilem. Shoilem soll sein, Shoilem soll sein, Shoilem auf der ganzen Welt. Shoilem soll sein, Shoilem soll sein, Shoilem auf der ganzen Welt. Ja la 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 ja la 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 ja la 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 ja la 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 ja la 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 ja la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la
Woohoo!
One down.
Thank you, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
In case you didn't know, I'm Rabbi Samantha Kahn, and this is Cantor David Muchnick, and we are so happy to have you here with us this Friday night. Whether you are a member or a guest, whether you're in person or watching online, we hope that you will have a meaningful, joyful Shabbat, and we are so glad that you joined us. As you already heard, we decided tonight's service was Shabbos with a bissel of Yiddish. So I wanted to begin tonight with a Yiddish story, but I don't speak Yiddish, so it's a translated version.
Go ahead.
Well, I do speak a little Yiddish, but it's only the curse words. But so that wouldn't work for a Shabbat service. So this is a story translated by Marie Serkin about hundreds of years ago, in the earliest days of the 18th century, deep in the Carpathian Mountains in what is now Ukraine, and a rabbi who changed the world. Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliezer was known as the Baal Shem Tov, the master of a good name. He was believed by his disciples to be so great, so learned, so holy, that he could do wonders on earth. Among the legends told to him, we learn that whenever he sensed that his people were in great danger, he would go to a secret place in the forest surrounding his town, light a special fire, say a special prayer, and then without fail, his people would be saved from danger. In the due course of time, the Baal Shem Tov, of course, eventually passed on and didn't take all the people's problems and worries with him. So when another crisis loomed, it fell to his disciple, the Maggid of Mezerich, to solve it. The Maggid went to the same secret place of which his teacher had taught him, and he said, Master of the universe, I don't know how to light the special fire of my teacher, but I know his prayer. Please let that be good enough. And it was. When the Maggid passed, the task fell to his student, Rabbi Moshe Leib of Sasov. In a time of crisis, Rabbi Moshe Leib would go to that same place and say, Master of the universe, I don't know the prayer of my teacher. I don't know the fire of his teacher, but I stand in the place where they stood, and I beg for your mercy. Please let that be good enough. And it was. And then eventually it fell to Moshe Leib's disciple, Israel of Risen. When told of a danger to his people, the Risener would sit in his chair and sigh the deepest of sighs. He would bow his head and say, Master of the universe, I know not where my teacher stood, nor how his teacher prayed, nor how his teacher kindled the fire. All I know is to tell their story. Please let that be good enough. And it was. We're told it always was. We come together tonight, many generations removed from the world of our fathers, with Yiddish no longer being the common language of our people, sitting in Boca Raton, which is pretty far away from the Carpathian Mountains. And we do not stand where our ancestors stood. We do not pray how they prayed. We do not kindle their fire how they kindled their sacred fires, but we know their stories, the language they spoken and the joy they brought to each encounter with God. And so tonight we will seek to rekindle that feeling as we welcome Shabbat together. Yes, with a bissel of Yiddish, even if it's translated into English. We turn in our prayer books, our Mishkan Tefillah, to pages 2 and 3, and I invite Linda Harris and Talia Vivi to come up and light our candles. Figure out how to.
What?
There you go.
Okay.
Let her try.
Let her. No, this is just distancing. Okay.
See, that was God's sense of humor.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom. Can you start? Put this one out.
Before you say the prayer.
Go ahead, you start. You want to say it or sing it? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue now sanctifying our Shabbos. On page 5 is our Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahavahu v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu vacharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. We continue on page 16. We continue with our songs and praise to God now as we welcome the Sabbath bride on pages 20 and 21. We will be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the 9th verse, it's our custom to rise and face the door and greet the Sabbath bride who will symbolically enter. I'll give you the signal when.
Lecha
Thank you. And because we're all standing already, I'm going to throw a curveball at Cantor and say, let's turn to page 28 for our call to worship. I know. On the bottom of page 29, we read, "O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. O let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence." Page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn to page 39 and we read responsively on the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. We are on page 40, Mi Chamocha, and I don't think we're doing any more responsive reading tonight. You guys I don't know if you heard it, but that was terrible. I love most of you dearly, those of you I know, but you were not at the same time, so we'll skip that for the rest of the night. Cantor. Ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad hazak mimenu. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Before our Hashkivenu prayer, our next prayer, which offers an evening reflection, I wanted to share with you a poem by M.L. Halpern, again, originally written in Yiddish, translated. Moshe Lieb stood up in the middle of the night to think out the world. He listens to his own thinking. Someone whispers in his ear that everything is straight and everything is crooked and that the world spins around everything. Moshe Lieb picks at a straw with his nails and smiles. Why? Just because. He picks at a straw in the night, and then he has another thought. He thinks and he listens again. Someone whispers in his ear that nothing is straight and nothing is crooked and that the world spins around nothing. Moshe Lieb picks at a straw with his nail and smiles. Why? Just because. Hashkivenu, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu uvoeinu lechaim ushalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu uvoeinu lechaim ushalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
It is time now to open our lips and pour out our hearts with the centerpiece prayer of our worship service. We invite all who are able to please rise as we continue with our Amidah. We begin together on pages 46 through 52. 46 through 52.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekone Hakol, Vezocher Chaste Avot ve'imahot, Umevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen. We continue on our own through page 62, praying silently and having a seat when you are finished.
As surely as paper is white and ink is black, so does my heart yearn for you. I could sit for 3 whole days kissing your sweet face and holding your hand. Last night I went to a wedding where I saw many pretty girls, but none of them could compare with you. With your lovely black eyes and raven hair, your figure, your face, your gentle ways have kindled a flame in my heart, but no one can see it burning. Papier ist das Weiß. Papier ist doch weiß und Tint ist doch schwarz. Zu dir, mein süß Leben, zieh doch mein Herz, quoll ständig gesessen, 3 Tag noch an, zu kuschen dein schön Brunnen und zu halten dein Haar. Nächten beinach bin ich auf a Kassene gewöhnt. Viele schöne Mädelech hab ich dort gesehen. Viel schöne Mädelech, zu dir kommt nicht vor, zu deine schwarze Gelech, zu deine schwarze Ohr. Dein Taille, dein Miene, dein edler Fasson, in Herzen brennt Feuer, mes es nicht so als ein Mensch, was so fühlen wie es brennt, der Zeit und das Leben ist bei Gott in die Hand.
Thank you, Cantor. That was beautiful. When having a service with a bissel of Yiddish, it's hard not to think about the world of our fathers, a world in which Yiddish blossomed. So to prepare for tonight, along with exploring Yiddish songs, poems, and plays, I revisited my favorite Yiddish stories. And I had a chance to reread a wonderful book, Souls on Fire, a book by Elie Wiesel. He's best known for his writing and speaking on the Shoah and speaking out against injustice. But in Souls on Fire, he examines the stories of the first rabbis of the Hasidic movement. We're all familiar with Hasidic Jews today. They're the ones with the long black coats and the curly payas, the side locks. I try to get my locks like that. I don't know if it works. And they have an intense devotion to an ultra-Orthodox approach to Judaism. We don't hear about it often, though. But how their movement started was very different. It began not as an ultra-Orthodoxy, but ironically, as a reformist movement. The founders of Hasidism were born into a world in which Judaism had become ossified, so weighted down under texts and strictures that it was hard to breathe, so formal as to have had the life squeezed out of it, and so these rabbis sought to release the fire that was within our religion, to free their disciples and us to experience God ourselves as a living, present God, not only as an idea mediated by other people with more knowledge and training. How did they do this? Well, in many ways. First, with a focus on fervor and prayer rather than formal structure. One of the reasons I decided to mess with the structure a little tonight on the spot. Well done. Secondly is with music, which we've heard a bit of Yiddish music tonight. Often the Hasidic music was a nigun, a wordless melody filled with lies and bim bombs and other sayings that meant nothing but were meant to be more evocative and more visceral than the words of the prayers themselves. And of course, they also did so with stories. There was a belief in the power of a story. I think one of the greatest gifts which the Hasidic community gave to the Jewish world was a rekindled connection with the idea that a teaching can sometimes be better contained in a tale than in a lecture. That a legend or a fable can contain in it a spark, one which simply can't be found even in the greatest sermon on the same topic. That's the point, one of them anyway, of the story that I began with tonight. It's true that over time, the prayer of the Baal Shem Tov, who was the founder of Hasidic Judaism, evolves into a story about the prayer, but contained in that story is the prayer itself, and the story is powerful enough, holy enough to evoke a miracle. And so as I offer you my words tonight on this Shabbos with the Bissel of Yiddish, a rekindling of a time when the Yiddish story was paramount, I decided the best thing I could offer, with a short introduction, obviously, was another story. In a moment, I will share one of the most famous Yiddish stories shared by Elie Wiesel in Souls on Fire, but written down first by Yiddish writer I.L. Peretz. But it requires a tiny bit of explanation. You see, not surprisingly, the early Hasidic masters met more than their share of resistance. The established Jewish world saw this new way of practicing Judaism as something heretical. Some people still do. Some of the early rabbis were excommunicated, and physical battles even broke out between the Hasidic Jews and those who became known as the mitnagim, literally the opponents. Among the fiercest of the mitnagdim were the Litvaks, the Lithuanian Jews, who valued rationality and intellect above all else. I feel strongly connected to the Lithuanian Jews, as my maiden name before it was changed at Ellis Island would have been Orshanovna, and it was Lithuanian. These Litvaks, they were dismissive, though, of any Judaism which didn't exalt reason and intelligence. And they were especially disdainful of the Hasidic Rebbes and the fantastic claims made by their followers, claims of the great wonders and miracles that the Rebbes could create. Nothing would please a Litvak more than to expose a rabbi as a charlatan, and Hasidic Judaism as a misguided journey down a vapid road. So our main story tonight begins with two men. One, Rabbi Nemerov, a great leader of Hasidic Jewry. The other, a simple Litvak, an avowed mitnagid, and a hater of all things Hasidic. He denied every miracle, fervently attested to the rabbi's followers with a fervency at least as great. He especially hated the way the rabbi's followers would make up excuses for anything that the rabbi did, sure that this man could do no wrong, even when he clearly was wrong. Take, for example, the way the rabbi behaved every year leading up to the High Holy Days. During this holiest time of the year, when Jews everywhere were preparing their souls for judgment, the rabbi would vanish. The Friday morning before Rosh Hashanah, every year, the rabbi could not be found. Even when it was supposed to be the time for prayers, the rabbi wasn't there. No one knew where he was. He wasn't in the synagogue or at the study hall or even in someone's house praying. He wasn't in his own home. He always left the door open so guests could come in. But no one was in the house. So where was he? Rumors began to fly about where the rabbi could be and what he must be doing. Eventually, his community came up with an answer. In heaven. That's what the people would say. Our rabbi goes up to heaven. The high holy days are near, and the rabbi knows how much we need and how little merit we have. So he must be in heaven pleading with God for our health, for peace, for good matches for our children. The Litvak would just laugh. Silly, simple people. In heaven? Bah. Don't you know that not even Moses himself made it up to heaven? Turning pages frantically in his Tanakh, in his Bible, the Litvak would show them the verse which proved his point. Heaven? The rabbi certainly doesn't go that far. So where is he, people would ask the Litvak. That's a good question, he thought. And he came up with a plan. He figured out that if he followed the rabbi, he'd find out what he was really doing, and he could show the whole town how this man was nothing special at all. That night, he snuck into the rabbi's house and hid under his bed and waited and waited and waited until the time came before dawn for the morning prayers, and the rabbi started getting ready to get out of bed. Oy vey, the rabbi called out. He was old, and just getting up was a struggle at this time. He moaned in pain for so long it felt like an hour to the Litvak. The suffering of all of Israel, our people's constant eternal longing for peace, felt like it was in every groan. But with great effort, he did get up. Then he went straight to his closet and pulled out some clothes, peasant's clothes, ripped pants, old boots, a ratty wool coat, and a big hat like the locals wore. The rabbi got dressed and stuffed a length of heavy rope into his pocket. Then he left the room. The Litvak, very confused, snuck out after him. On his way out, the rabbi grabbed an axe, which he stuck in his belt. He then, ever so quietly, slipped out the back door, with the Litvak always close behind. Everywhere in town, people were praying, getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, and the rabbi crept from street to street, always staying in shadows, so very careful not to be seen. The Litvak was starting to get nervous. He was sure the rabbi would hear his heart pounding. He was so nervous following this guy, not knowing what he was up to, but he didn't. The rabbi reached the edge of the town, and he kept walking into the woods. But where could he be going? When he was deep enough in the woods that he couldn't be seen from the town, the rabbi took out his axe and he cut down a small tree. He then chopped up the tree into small pieces and kindling and made it into a bundle with that rope, which he had tied on his belt. He shoved the axe back in his belt, threw the bundle over his shoulder, turned around, and started walking back to town. On the edge of town was a pathetic, broken-down shack. The rabbi stopped at it, and he knocked on the window. "Who's there?" asked a frightened, weakened voice. The Litvak knew that voice. It was Hola, the sickest, oldest woman in town. But when the rabbi started to speak, the Litvak barely recognized his voice. He was talking in the accent of a peasant, a local from nearby towns. "It's me," he said. Who? Who is me?" "Vassal, it's Vassal." What kind of name is that for a Jew, the Litvak thought. He knew that wasn't the rabbi's real name. "Again, Vassal," the woman yelled. "What do you want?" "I've got wood to sell you. It's very cheap." And without waiting for her to respond, the rabbi opened the door and went inside. The Litvak was so shocked that he almost didn't make it in, but he slipped by just as the door swung shut and ducked down in the dark corner and watched. Hola was on the bed, and she looked sick and frail. "Buy," she called out to him. "How can I buy wood? I'm a poor, sick widow. Where will I get the money?" "Fine, I'll lend it to you. It's only a few pennies. You can pay me back later." "Pay you back? How will I ever do that? Didn't you hear? I've got nothing." "You're a fool," the rabbi said. At this moment, even the Litvak was shocked to hear the rabbi speak like that. Didn't he know that we were commanded to respect our elderly? And the Litvak started thinking of all the verses he would quote to the rabbi later, showing him how badly he was acting. But the rabbi kept talking. "You are a poor, sick Jew, and I'm ready to trust you with a little bit of wood. Me, I'm sure you'll find a way to pay. And you with your great and mighty God, don't even have that much faith? You don't trust God for a few pennies? Have faith. I'm sure it will be all right. What good will wood do, she asked, if I can't even get out of bed to light a fire? I'll do it, replied the rabbi. And as the rabbi put the wood in the oven, with another groan, the Litvak heard him begin to recite the beginning of the prayers ever so quietly. And as he put a match to the fire and fanned the flames, he called out a bit more loudly the middle part of the prayers. And when the fire was good and burning, he recited the last part of the prayers in a full, almost joyous voice. He shut the oven door, stood up straight, and walked out. The Litvak who saw all this became a disciple of the rabbis. And ever after, when another disciple would tell how the rabbi of Nemirov ascends to heaven at the time of morning prayers, the Friday before Rosh Hashanah, the Litvak no longer laughs. He does not argue. He only adds quietly, if not higher. We hope all of our prayers go to heaven and even higher. Tonight, we take a moment now to offer prayers for those in need of healing. As a community, we think of Abigail Menjivar, Andrew Glatt, Ari Benjamin Kenny, Asher Ben Karen Fay, Avraham Lev Ben Akiva Ben Michal, Barbara Newmark, Bernice Handelman, Bettina Kaplan, Bonnie Kleinman, Brian Church, Carol Porwich, Casey Daskell, Havalea Bat Esther, Cheryl Cutler, Chuck Corey, Daniel Bernstein, David Field, Diane Spiro, Don Friedman, Dr. Jesse Gotchman, Elaine Reiner, Elliot Porwich, Esther Rhoda Kaufman, Ethel Kapner, Evelyn Greenfield, Gary Bandel, Gary Kane, Gaia Bat Yehuda Vamisha, Gloria Bernstein, Gloria Land, Gloria Plotsky, Howard Kleinberg, Howard Rosenbluth, Ira Kafka, Itzachana Bella Bat Rivka, Jaden Deal, Joan Seidman, John Day, Judith Dratler, Karen Coles, Krieg Marks, Larry Nagel, Les Coles, Leslie Winthrop, Lydia Nahum, Lillian Bushell, Lillian Rosenblatt, Linda Greenblatt Neuwirth, Mark Rosenberg, Mark Davis, Martin Edelman, Mary Galvin, Matthew Duque, Menachem Yehoshua Ben Sarah, Michael Medoff, Michael Zabursky, Michelle Kingan, Naomi Kirstein, Peter Davidson, Rachel Bat Shandel, Rena Fields, Richard Rosenbluth, Richard Shankman, Robert Kay, Robin Nagel, Rohi Oren Ben Harav Shoshana Yael, Shirley Kafka, Shmuel Ben Chaitza Rivka, Sloan Kasten, and Yael Chaya Bat Hedva. If there are other names of those in need of healing you'd like to say, please raise your hands and I will call on you. For all the names spoken out loud and all those who are suffering this Shabbat, we join together on page 253. Pray for Refuach Shlema, the complete healing of mind, body, and spirit. 253.
Strength will bless the ones before us. souls in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Amen. I'd like to invite up Renee Nadal to offer some announcements on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is so good to see you all, so good. Even the guys up there who are on the Zoom call, good to see them as well. Good to see you all. It's good to be here. I don't know if you have the same feeling that I do, but for me, it's sometimes hard to get here. I think, oh, maybe tonight I won't go. I don't know. But then once I'm here, it's joy. So I hope you feel that as well. I hope you feel the music, the feeling of family, of togetherness, of warmth. I feel it, and I feel how lucky we all are to have that. How lucky to have our wonderful rabbi and cantor, Rabbi Khan, Cantor Muchnick, to lead us in prayer, even in Yiddish prayer. So who knew? Who knew? Did anybody have this feeling that I used to? For me, my grandparents spoke Yiddish, but Yiddish was the language of secrets, right? My parents spoke Yiddish so that we wouldn't understand what they were saying. Well, I don't understand too much of it either, but I understand a little, and you could kind of decode their secrets, right? You would figure out what they were saying. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I just did want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, a peace, a feeling of peace that we get from being here. Remind you that there are services tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the chapel. And to tell you, there's a very big secret that's now out. There is a surprise, a special CBI surprise, because we have our Rosenthal Speaker Series, and we are going to have that again this year. But the speaker for that series is Mandy Patinkin. I'm going to say it again. Mandy Patinkin, that one. How many of you have heard of? Okay, all right, so you know. The date for that is Thursday, January 26th. Do not run out this moment. You can't get the tickets yet. It's another week till the tickets will be available. Sponsorships will be available, but I think this place will be sold out. So as you look at all these empty seats now, not when he's here. No, that's just now. So I'm thinking that in another week, we'll all get emails. We will know that the tickets are available. We'll be able to get them. And I hope to see you all here for then. I wish you all a wonderful, peaceful, happy Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
We turn back to our prayer books. We're on page 282 on the bottom of the page for Aleinu L'Shabeach, and we invite all who are able to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As a congregation, we remember those laid to rest this week, and we remember Annabelle Silverman, member, and Michael McHale, the stepfather of Ian Hest. We also remember those who are in their month of mourning in Shloshim. We remember David Zinger, father of Robin and Carrie Ginter, grandfather of Kyle and Jared Ginter, Sarah Herschel, mother of David and Fran Herschel, Philip Bloom, father of Lauren Bloom, Judy Agron, sister of Lynn Turry. And we remember the Yardsites, the anniversaries of those who passed at this season or this time in years past. And we remember Louis Grauer, Stan Harris, Eleanor Candell, Pauline Mickler, Anna Moskowitz, Philip Nadell, Molly Nagel, Edgar Otto, Nora Shugnessy, Ruben Silverstein, Jacob Tunick, and Sadie Young. If there is someone else you're remembering tonight, please feel free to say their name out loud. For all the names spoken, and for all those whose memories guide our lives even after they're gone, we join together in Kaddish Yatom, page 294. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, v'galav v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam la'amei almaya, Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Zichronam levracha, may the memories of your loved ones always be a blessing to you throughout your lives. Amen. You may be seated. And quickly we will say Hamotzi, grateful for life and all that sustains it. We offer a blessing now over our challah, symbol of all that nourishes our body and soul. Cantor, you sing it, and I'm going to invite the kids who have sat so nicely throughout the service to come forward, and you can help us and be the first ones to taste our challah if you want. You want to come up and do Hamotzi with me? You don't have to know anything. Can you guys hold this plate together? Hold it, it's heavy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
I'll hold it, you rip it. Amen. You're going to eat it for all of us. Thank you. Our closing song can be found on page 335.
Not going to read this one in English. Turn to page 335. Als ich will singen, lecha doidi, sollst du singen, chiribiribim. Als ich will singen, likros scheubes, was du singen shiribiri bam lecha doidi chiribiri bim likras kailas chiribiri bam lecha doidi likras kala chiri 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 chiribiri bam chiribim chiribam chiribim bam bim bam bim bam chiribam chiribim chiribim bam bim bam bim bam oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi chiribiri biri bam. Als ich will singen Jerusalem, sollst du singen Chiribiribim. Als ich will singen ihr HaKodesh, sollst du singen Chiribiribam. Lecha doidi Chiribiribim, likros kaila Chiribiribam. Lecha doidi likros kaila Chiribiribiribiribiribam. Chiribim, chiribam, chiribim bam bim bam bim bam. Chiribim, chiribam, chiribim bam bim bam bim bam. Oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam. Oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam. Oi chiribiri biri bim bam bam. Oi chiribiri biri bam. Als ich will singen Yom HaShabbos, sollst du singen Chiribiri bim. Als ich will singen Yom Menucha, sollst du singen Chiribiri bam lecha doidi Chiribiri bim likras kaila Chiribiri bam lecha doidi likras kaila Chiribiri biri 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 bam Chiribim chiribam chiribim bam bim bam bim bam Chiribam chiribim chiribim bam bim bam bim bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bim bam bam oi Chiribiri biri bam.
Yay! Shabbat Shalom. We hope to see you all in the Oneg. When you exit the sanctuary, turn right, and the Oneg is in the next room over. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.